Hey, hi guys. Thanks for joining in. Let's discuss one more transformation today. Today we'll be seeing normalizer transformation in Informatica. Okay. So normalizer transformation is an active transformation and connected transformation. Okay. It's an active transformation and connected. I hope you know what is active, what is connected, right? So what is active? Number of input rows or number of input records which are coming into the transformation are not equal to the number of records which are going out of the transformation. What is connected transformation? Connected transformations are those transformations which are part of the pipeline. Such type of transformations are referred as connected transformation. So the normalizer is an active and connected transformation. So what is the main purpose of normalizer? It is generally used to transform single incoming row into multiple output rows. What does that mean? So it is used to transform or convert single incoming row into multiple output rows. Let me explain this statement. Okay, so let's go to Excel. Take one source table with company SRC. That's the name, company SRC, and it contains company name column, Q1 sales column, Q2 sales column, Q3 sales column, Q4 sales column. So we have a source table under the name company SRC, and it contains 5 different columns, which is a company name, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 sales. Okay. So in the similar way, take one more target table. Okay. And I think that the name will be company TGT, and it contains 3 columns, company SRC, also company name, and quarter column and sales column, sales happened or sales column. Okay, so we have a target table under the name company TGT, and it contains 3 columns, right? So let's take one simple example. Think that we have one single row or one single record in the source table with some dummy data. Okay, think that we have Tesla company details, which is having the Q1 sales, Q2 sales, and Q3 sales, and Q4 sales. Okay. So what does we made a statement here? Normalizer transformation is used to transform the single incoming row into multiple output rows. Go back here. So when we use normalizer transformation, it will convert or it will transform the single incoming row into multiple output rows. What does that mean? It will load the data in this manner. We'll load the first Q1 sales as one single row, and Q2 sales as one single row, and Q3 sales as one single row, and Q4 sales as one more single row. So see, observe here, like we have one single row, one row in the source table, but how many rows that are loaded into the target table? 4, right? So what, by using normalizer transformation, we can convert, we can transform single incoming row into multiple output rows. Okay, let's take one more example. If we have one more record in the target source table, okay, think that we have Microsoft company quarter sales. Q1 sales is 2000, Q3 sales is 3000, Q4 sales are 4000. So when we use normalizer transformation, we can convert the single incoming row into the transformation into multiple output rows. Let me write it down. So the Microsoft Q1 sales will be loaded like this. Okay, in a similar way, we will load Microsoft Q2 sales as $2,000. just like that, it will load Microsoft Q3 sales as one more single row. The final Q4 sales will be loaded as one more single row. I hope that is clear. So we are not doing anything here. We will be using normalizer transformation, which will transform the incoming row into multiple output rows. So that's what the definition, right? So normalizer is used to transform one single incoming row into multiple output rows. That's it. See here, Tesla row, incoming row is converted into 4 different output rows. In the similar way, Microsoft incoming row is converted into 4 different output rows, right? So whenever you are discussing or whenever somebody asks you like what is normalizer transformation, you need to tell all these points, okay? Normalizer is an active transformation and is connected, and it is also used to transform single incoming row into multiple output rows. Or you can simply say that it is used to convert column data into rows. That's it. Yeah, I hope that is clear. Let's go and implement one simple let's go and implement one simple example so that we can understand in much more better way. Okay, let's go to Oracle and check what are the tables that we can use for our lab. Maybe company, I guess. Let me query and check what type of data it is there. Yeah, we can use this table as our source table. See here, it contains 5 different columns. One is company name and one is Q1 sales, Q2 sales, Q3 sales, Q4 sales. And we have 4 records, 4 companies details along with their quarter sales. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 sales. Okay. So we will be converting each and every incoming row into multiple output rows. And let's go and check what is the target table that we can use. I think company TGT is the one which we can use in this case. Yeah, we can use this table. See here, observe clearly, it contains 3 columns. One is company name, quarter column, and sales happened column. Okay, let's go and use normalizer transformation in Informatica and achieve this requirement. Okay, we need to convert each and every row into multiple output rows and load it into target table in this manner. In a similar way, how we discussed by taking these examples. Okay, let's go back to mapping designer, and I think I have already imported the required source and target tables that I needed for our development. So I will be ignoring the prerequisite step, which is importing the source and target object structures into Informatica. Okay, for you, when you are practicing, please import the required source table or target table into Informatica. That is a prerequisite step before doing anything, before developing any code, Informatica code. Okay, now let's go and create the first step. What is the first step? We need to create a mapping, where we will be creating a mapping on the mapping designer. You need to be on the mapping designer, go to mapping tab, click create, and give some meaningful name. The mapping name starts with small m underscore normalizer transformation. Okay, something like that. So we have created a normalizer mapping. Now drag and drop the required sources and target tables into the mapping, into the workspace. Okay, so what is the transformation that we can use in order to convert columns to rows, or in order to convert the incoming rows into multiple output rows? That is normalizer transformation, right? How you can create a transformation? Go to transformation tab, click create, and select the normalizer from the list of the transformations from the drop down. So select the normalizer transformation, and the naming notation for normalizer is NRM, followed by some meaningful name. Okay, click create, done. So observe here, when you create a normalizer transformation, you cannot drag the columns from the upstream into the normalizer. Okay, that is one more point. Let me make a note of it. By default, we cannot, when we create a normalizer transformation, we cannot drag the ports from upstream or from the source into normalizer transformation. See here, this is the statement I made, right? I will show you the same thing. When I'm trying to drag this into the normalizer, I cannot do that, right? I'm dropping it, but we cannot able to drag the ports into normalizer transformation by default when you create normalizer transformation. See here, there is an error, cannot copy a column into the to this transformation, right? So in order to drag the ports, first we need to create the ports that are required. Double click on the normalizer transformation, go to normalizer tab. Okay, here we need to mention the different columns that are needed for our normalization. Okay, let's add a column and name it as company name. We need it in our target table, right? Company name. And what are the other, what is the other column? This column I will be naming it as quarter sales, because when from the source there are like company name Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 sales, right? That is a quarter sales column which is repetitive. So for that we need to configure the occurs clause. Occurs clause is nothing but how many columns we want to convert to how many rows. Okay, we need to mention how many columns we need to convert here. Let's go back to our example. See, there is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 sales, right? But in the target, we have only one sales column, quarter sales. So we need to load into one column, all the sales across Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 sales. So we need to mention that, go back to the mapping designer, the quarter sales column will be repetitive column for 4 times. Okay, this occur clause is nothing but how many columns we want to convert into rows. We need to mention that number here. We, in our example, in our requirement, we'll be converting 4 columns into one column. 4 different Q1, Q2, Q3 sales column into one sales column, right? I hope that is clear. If not, please comment. I'll take one more example and try to explain much more better way. Okay, let's go back here. I have configured. Now observe, click apply and click OK. Now we have the ports, right? See here, Informatica created company name and 4 columns for quarter sales, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 sales. And by default, it also created 2 columns, which is GK and GCID. So let me discuss about those 2 columns. Okay. So let me write it down here. Informatica will generate 2 columns in normalizer transformation. Those are, first one, GKID, which is nothing but generated key identification. And the second one is GCID. What does that mean? Generated column identification. I will tell you what is the difference. Okay. So GKID is nothing but it is used to generate sequence of IDs. Okay. Use it to generate sequence of IDs. Sequence of IDs in the sense 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. It will generate sequence of IDs, generated key identification, GKID. What is GCID? GCID is like, it will create column IDs, but create to generate column IDs. Okay, which is nothing but generated character ID, right? So what is that mean? GCID. It is the number, like it repeats the sequence based on occurs clause. Okay, let me write down that one also. Repeats the sequence based on occurs clause. What's that? What does that mean? Let me go back here. Let me take it down here. So it is, I think it is little confusing here. I think let me take it down here. I don't want to make things more complicated. Okay, let me bring it down like this. So we are discussing these two things. Informatica will generate two different ID columns. What are those in normalizer transformation? GKID and GCID. GKID is like generated key ID identification. GCID is, excuse me, GCID is generated column identification. Okay, and GKID is like used to generate sequence of IDs. When it comes to GCID, it generates column IDs. Okay, used to generate column IDs. It is nothing but it repeats the sequence based on occurs clause. What does that mean? I will show you. I will show and discuss. Okay, then it will be much more clear. Let's go here. Let's use first convert like a drag and drop or link the source ports to the normalizer. And now connect. What is the first port? Let's double click, go to normalizer. See here, the company name data type should be string, which I have forgot. So that's why I came back and made a change. Okay, click apply, click OK. Now go and attach this company name to company name, quarter sales to sales happened column, and GKID to quarter. Okay, what is that? Column is already linked. Okay, let's do to quarter. Okay, now like first we'll run the job. We'll execute the job by using GKID and observe the output, and then we'll execute the job using GCID and observe the output. Okay, so that we can know the difference between GKID and GCID. Okay, let's save the mapping and see whether it is valid. The mapping is valid. And the second one is like second step is like we need to create a workflow, right? Where you will be creating workflow on the workflow manager. Go and click workflow manager. The workflow manager opens and you need to be on the workflow designer and go to workflows tab, click create and give some meaningful name. The workflow name starts with small wf followed by session name or mapping name or normalizer transformation, some meaningful name. Okay, let's click OK. The workflow is created and create a session and link the mapping to that session. I'm using the shortcut icon. Click the session icon and click on the workspace. It displays the list of mappings that are available in the folder where you are working and select the respective mapping. In our case, it's a normalizer transformation mapping. Click OK and configure the session. That's it. Go to mapping step. Tell Informatica that your source table is present in Oracle SRCDB and tell Informatica that our target table is present in Oracle TGTDB user. Okay, click OK and nothing to do here. And we are just inserting. No need to update anything. No need to delete also. Just mark truncate target table option because we need to load it freshly. Like whenever we want to load the data into target table. That's it. Click apply. Click OK, and connect. Link the workflow to the session. That's it. I used a link task. Okay, here I used the shortcut icons to create session. I used a link shortcut icon for link task also to drag or link the workflow with the session. Okay, let's save it. Okay, let's run the workflow. Before running the workflow, let me show you the target table. There is no data right now. And now go and execute the workflow. Right click on the workspace, start workflow. That's it. Let's observe whether the job will execute properly or not. Got succeeded. Let's go and check the run properties. Go and check the source and target statistics. See, it read 4 records from the source. Okay, but it loaded 16 records. Now let's go and check the target table. How it loaded. See, it loaded from the source. It has only 1 Tesla record, 1 Tesla row. But how many rows it loaded? 4, right? For each and every quarter, it loaded as separate row. So that's what we discussed, right? The use case of our normalizer is used to transform single incoming row into multiple output rows. Okay, I hope that is clear. That's what we achieved here. 4 records for Tesla, 4 records for Twitter, 4 records for Facebook, like that 4 records for Microsoft. But I have intentionally used GKID because see, when you connect GKID to the quarter column, what are the IDs that are generated? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right? That's what we discussed here. GKID is a generated key identification, which is used to generate sequence of IDs, right? The functionality of GKID is like it generates sequence of IDs. That's what it did here. It generated sequence of IDs 1 to 16. Now go and run the mapping. Go and change the go and connect, instead of connecting GKID, now go and connect the GCID to the quarter column. Let's delete it. Now connect GCID to the quarter and now save it. And the mapping is valid. Okay. And whenever you made a change in the mapping, you need to refresh the mapping. Right click on the session, refresh mapping, and the yellow icon appears, and save it. The yellow icon disappears. Now run the workflow and observe the output. Okay. Got succeeded. It read 4 records from the source and loaded 16 records into the target table. Now go and query it. See, observe here clearly. Each and every company is having 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, for the next company, it is like 1, 2, 3, 4 again. It is not like a sequence of IDs. It is generating column IDs. Okay, I hope that is clear. Generated GCID is nothing but generated column ID. Whereas GKID is nothing but generated key identification. So it is nothing but GKID gives us continuous sequence IDs. When it comes to generated column ID, it will give us like the sequence based on occurs clause. How many columns that we mentioned in the occur clause? 4, right? That's why it gives IDs like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you make it as 6, then it will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. Depends upon the occurs clause that you are configuring. I hope that is clear. See, it's very simple. When you go with GKID, it's 1 to 16. It will display. Okay. What does that mean? We will be loading the data with sequence of IDs. But when you use GCID, we will be loading the data with column IDs. How many number of columns we will be converting or transforming into rows? That number of IDs it will generate for each and every row from the source. Okay, see here. Tesla, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 IDs. It is nothing but Q1, Q2, Q3, 4, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, like that. Depends upon the requirement. Okay, I hope you now understand the difference between GKID and GCID. This is one more very important question in interviews. People will ask you all the time when they want to test you on normalizer transformation. Okay, so you just keep in mind GKID and GCID. And let's go. I want to explain one more concept here. Open normalizer transformation and go and check this restart option. Okay, click apply, click OK. And instead of GCID, let me take GKID and try to explain the concept. Okay, I will be connecting GKID to the quarter column and save the mapping. The mapping is valid. Now, whenever you change a mapping, whenever you change anything in the mapping, refresh the mapping by right-clicking on the session, refresh mapping, and the yellow icon appears. Save it, the yellow icon disappears. Now, right-click and run the workflow. That's it. And let's observe the output. It loaded. It read 4 records. It loaded 16 records. Now go and check. We used a generated key, right? What is GKID? It generates sequence of IDs. It gives 1 to 16. See? Like that. Okay. When you run any number of times it remains the same. It will always load the sequence IDs 1 to 16. Go and query it again. Okay. So when you use reset option, before changing anything, I want to show and disconnect the folder and connect back again. Now observe the sequence ID on the inside the normalizer transformation. Go to the ports tab. See here, our sequence is 17, right? Okay, let's go in to properties, uncheck this restart option, go to reset option now. Click apply, click OK. Save it. The mapping is valid. Refresh mapping. Save it. Okay, now run the workflow. Now what it will be loading the data? It will load the data from 17. Go and observe here. Because the sequence ID in the normalizer is like from 17, right? See. So whenever you use reset option, it will always start from the last value of the previous execution. Okay. Now go and check again. Disconnect, connect back. Now check the sequence ID. So it should be 17 only. I hope that is clear. Let me run it again and see the output, what it will be. Now observe the output. See, it loaded from 17 again, right? So it's always, you need to play around depending upon your requirement. Restart will always start the IDs from 1, but reset will always start from the last value of previous execution. Let me write it down. Restart will always start the IDs from 1. Reset, when it comes to reset, it will always start from the last execution ID. Okay, I hope that is clear. If not, let me know. We'll try to take one more example and try to understand the concepts. Okay, so these are the very, very important points when it comes to normalizer transformation. You need to explain all these things when interviewer asks you like what is normalizer transformation. Then you need to tell it is an active transformation and connected, and it is also used to transform single incoming row into multiple output rows, right? And it is also used to, or it is all, we can also define it as it is used to convert columns into rows. Okay, by default, when you create a normalizer transformation in your mapping, we cannot drag the ports from the upstream directly into the normalizer transformation. In order to connect the ports from source or, excuse me, or drag the ports into the normalizer, we need to create the ports that are required as per our requirement on the normalizer tab. And we also need to set the occurs clause. We need to tell Informatica which column need to repetitive for how many number of times. Okay, that means which column you need to convert into rows, how many number of times. Okay, and then we need to be making use of GKID or GCID depending upon our requirement. If you want sequence of IDs, just connect GKID. If you want like a column IDs, like how many number of columns you are converting into rows, then use GCID. So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 sales, right? So for in our example, we are like you're converting 4 columns into rows. That's why the occurs clause will be set to 4 and the GCID will be generating IDs like 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, for the next incoming row, it will generate, it will load the data as 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, for the next row, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. I hope all these points are clear. If not, please comment. I will take one more example and try to make you guys more understand these concepts related to normalizer transformation. Thank you so much, guys. Until then, take care.